Okay, guys, so listen, I'm so excited. Um, Stephanie is a pretty decent artist and a pretty decent writer, and I've been telling her about the creatures that I've been seeing. And as you guys know, I'm really pretty much an expert on the outside in part, but I'm not as knowledgeable about specifics about the beings that are on this planet that have been here in the third and fourth dimension. I can read a lot of vibrations, but a lot of times the belief systems will interfere with what I see. So I told you guys before that I was starting to see peripheral, a lot of things. So I've started to describe them, and I mean describe them from my human eyes. And so that led to her telling me what I'm seeing and describing the beings that I'm seeing that I've never heard of before and telling me a little bit about them. So after about 10 or 15 of these discussions, I started talking to her and I said, "Can you draw these creatures?" And she said, "Yeah, absolutely." And I asked her if she would. And so she has started drawing these different creatures and just going through all of the magical beings that are on this planet. And she's writing, who they are and what they like and their personalities and how it fits into the big picture and how they fit in with each other, I think. Anyway, she's agreed to do a book, which will lead to other books because there's a lot of magical creatures on this planet. So I'm really excited about that. I think you guys probably will be excited about it. And I might even have talked her into maybe talking to people who have seen creatures and letting her uh, describe them to you guys. Anyway, I'm trying to get her to interact with humans a little bit more. So I'll probably put her book up on the website. Maybe if she agrees to let me put it up there. Because I think it'll be really interesting for a lot of people. I'm excited because all these creatures are and beings are definitely feel wonderful to me and really interesting. She has explained a lot about how, I tell you that the major religions, they've got a little bit of truth and then they pretty much mess up the rest of it. Well, some of the creatures that are still in human memories are still around, like fairies and elves and such, only they've really pretty much messed up with their real personalities and how they interact and such. So she's going to write all that down. So I just thought I'd share that with you guys because I thought you'd find it interesting and maybe you'll be as excited about seeing her book or books as I am. Already. I've just seen a little bit of it, and I just can't wait for the book. I just can't wait. And that makes me more excited to stay longer in 5D on 5D Earth because I think it'll be a lot of fun. So, okay, guys, I may hang around here for a while longer. Somebody sent me a video of this guy who, what did it say in it? He was like 1,500 years old, or he had full recall, and he said he was from the planet Eros, and he was the son of the king of that planet. I guess there's a king on this planet. And, I don't know if I can find that to refer it for you guys, but he is a prime example of fourth dimension. And the whole story that he tells about how the planet is bad things are going to happen. I think he says like 5.2 billion people are going to die, and then there'll be all kinds of ships that show up that save people and take them off the planet, and they have to be vibrating a certain way, and then they'll just be gone and taken away. All of that is so classic fourth dimension, and it's a fourth dimensional thinking And a lot of what he says is absolutely accurate. And from the perspective that they're talking about, he absolutely is believes it. Now, this particular guy, there's vibratorily, there's something off with him, but I'm not going to look any further because I don't really care. But the information that he put out there was interesting. Again, you can see the we're going to come save you perspective. You can see the fear. You can hear all of this in this video. You can hear all the judgment that is going on, that is um, classic fourth dimension. And I did find it interesting, like I find all things interesting when people regress themselves into other lifetimes so frequently. There are a whole bunch of famous people that they regress themselves to, like a whole bunch of Cleopatras and a whole bunch of Napoleons or a whole bunch of Jesuses, whenever people regress to other lifetimes. So I thought that was interesting that he was the prince of, the son of a king. Uh, I'd be interested to see one of those guys show up and say, "Well, I'm nobody important. I'm kind of a peon or a poor person on this planet, but I came to talk to you anyway." I think that would be a nice, surprising change, for that matter. Which leads me to, this is going to be one of those thought to thought to thoughts. I actually just came on to tell you about Stephanie's book, but that just triggered me to think of something, that when you have people that go into hypnotic regression, or they remember, or someone or you might remember a past life, and a lot of times that people are remembering the same, being the same person. Well, what happens when that occurs is that you can regress, like, let's say, Starseed might regress, and there might be an understanding or a discussion in that regression therapy about past human lives. Or let's say that you're a long term human and you go back to regress into lives. Now, a long term human usually will go into a regression, and there will be a variety of lives. And if they would keep going, they would find way more than what they find. And if they knew to go back even further and how to explain that to the human, they could find out a lot more information about the history of the world. But for those that they do not, what happens is frequently is that you will come in your hypnotic state. You will go out of this human body and you will go into the kind of the all that is, the all stories. But since the person, has been told to go into human lives, then a lot of times it's kind of like you go to all that is, and then you go to a human life, and those lives that have been exceptional in human terms, like Cleopatra, like, oh, I don't know, all those, Jesus, all of those beings that are considered uh, stupendous, especially after they died. If there's been a continued energy been put in them, like especially the painters like Picasso or uh, Da Vinci, those kind of beings, when they're in the history books and there's continued energy sent to their story, sent to their story, sent to their story, then they're kind of bigger. But think of every life as being a beam of light. And the ones that humans now believe as being exceptional, or they were exceptional, and then they've continued to be fed energy, those beams of light are much brighter. So if somebody is taken into a regressive state, and into basically the all that is, and most hypnotherapists don't understand how this whole thing works, so they'll just back them up simply, and they'll take them out to the all it is and tell them that, okay, go to your past human life. Well, out of the human body, subconsciously, you will know that we are all one. So to go to any human life is accurate as far as when the hypnotherapist tells you to, okay, go to a past human life. From the standpoint that we're all one, then that individual will look around at these beams of light, think of it like, okay, different lines, beams of light, and go, okay, well, that one's really bright. I'm going to go to that one. So they'll go into that beam of light, that lifetime of, let's say, Da Vinci, and that hypnotherapist can ask them anything about that life. So if they wanted to verify whether or not that human that was in hypnotherapy had actually been in that past human life, not understanding how the whole thing works, they could ask him anything, any tiny little detail about Da Vinci's life, and that person that was in hypnotherapy would be able to accurately describe Da Vinci's life, start to finish. Absolutely. And that wouldn't be out of the question, and it happens a lot. It happens a lot with regressive therapy. So instead of somebody getting their particular past life, it's kind of when you've done a past life, when you've done a life, it is recorded in the all that is, and it will always be there forever and ever, and accessible by any being forever and ever. Which is why I say I am so grateful to the humans, the bad guys, the reptilians, the draconians. I'm so grateful to all of them for having experienced what they've experienced on this planet, because now that they've done it, anyone else can come in and come into the 3D planets and have their own perspective, their own twist of this 3D life. But for those of us that do not want to, we have totally it is we have total access to all of the lives that have been lived without having to live it ourselves, because we are all one. Does that make sense? So that is the reason why a lot of times with this regression, we'll have a lot of people saying there, well, I went back with regressive therapy, and I was Cleopatra. And I know I was, because I remember all of it, and I knew exactly what I remembered my mother hugging me and coddling me and singing to me. I could remember smelling the wood in the fireplace burning. I know. And the reason for that is that you have access to all of those lives at any given time. And on the other side, you can access those instantly, and many of them at once, which is why I like visiting those things, those experiences. And I can experience them, and I do frequently in mass, on the other side, in the other life that I had. Whereas there are some entities that like to, okay, this is a good example. There are some people that like to be the actor and actresses in a movie or a play, and then there are others that are not interested at all at being the actors and the actresses. They want to watch the movie or the play. They really enjoy watching the movie or the play. And then there are others that like to collect all of the movies in the plays and kind of organize them, or see how they're the same or different, or see how close they are, or what the huge contrast is between the two kinds. So does that make sense? I would think that would make sense a little bit. Anyway, that's a couple little things that are little quirky things about about regressive therapy, hypnosis, and Stephanie's book. Well, and that also leads me that that there's a lot of stuff out there. I think that they say, well, you are making amends for, or you have to deal with the fear that you had in your past life or the bad deeds that you did in your past life. That's a big thing. And so you need to remember what your past lives were all about so that you can fix the problem in this life. And I would say that, like everything, it certainly is possible. And if that's what you've played out, and that's the reason why this whole thing gets tricky, that you may be that person. You may be a person that's your story, that's your game, that's your gig, is to live with the classic karmic rules that you're going to gradually go up and up from an amoeba to a human to an angel, and that this is dependent on whether you learn your lessons from life 1 to life 2 to life 3 to life 4. Now, is that karmic rule a valid rule? Well, it is if that is the story that you've decided to play as a creator God. Is it the way it is for everybody? Well, absolutely not. I'm not playing that game. But I'm not going to argue or get in the way of somebody who is playing that game. And because there are so many options on how to play the game, and because it is not limited to this lifetime, that there are a lot of games that are inclusive of this lifetime for those that have been perhaps in this creation for a long time. And there are a lot more games that if you're going to stay in fourth dimension, there's a lot more games that you're not aware of yet that you could be, and you probably are involved in, that will open up to you. And all of this was meant to be fun. It's meant to be contrast. It's meant to be creative. And we're meant to create these ideas and experience them, and experience others in order to kind of stimulate us to have ideas to create more new and different things to play, games to play, creations to create. Okay, does that make sense? So if your instinct tells you that yes, you need to go have regressive therapy, and you feel very, very strongly that there is something in a past life that is interfering with your present life, and that you need to have that rectified, you need to fix that, then you should go have that done. But when you have it done and you're all there, the trick is to not assume that everybody is playing that particular game. So instead of coming out of it, and let's say you go back and you have this regressive therapy and you find out what the problem was, and where the issue is, and what you have to do to resolve it, and so you come back awake and you solve that issue, or you do something to equalize that karmic event, and you feel better about yourself, and you know that you're moving forward to the next level. The trick here is, and this is hard trick, is to say, yes, but this is my game and only my game. And it is not the game that all creator gods do. Now, the person that has this done is probably not going to be listening to me and is not going to hear it. But what I can say to you is if you hear someone talking like that, then understand that that is also could be their game. And the big point here is that the game is not simply within this human lifetime. That this human lifetime could just be a part of a bigger game that you're creating within this creation and beyond, really. And ultimately, it all is a game. That when you came outside of the all that is, it created this individual part of the all that is, and started down that creative path in this manner, that from that moment on, it's all a game. All parts of it, all aspects, you keep moving back and forth between them. It's all a game. It's all a game. So how you play that game is so complex, and there's so many different options, that the key here is what I will say over and over again is try to clear out the cobwebs of all the belief systems that you have been taught by other people and follow your instinct. Even if and believe me, I'm not doing it on purpose. If I throw out there a belief system, I try to always couch that with, this is my perspective. This is my game. And if I don't say it every time, please remember that this is my game. And I'm giving you snippets of it and how this game played out for me. And on a higher level or a higher level, all of it was agreed to, all of it was designed in some way for a particular reason that I may or may not understand while I'm standing inside these human shoes. Okay? Because there is some amnesia with this particular human body and how it plays out. Because you must in order to play this particular game. In a lot of the games, you don't have any amnesia at all. But the best thing to do is, if you can stay in that quieted mind place and follow that tiny little voice and that instinct, you will never, ever, ever go wrong. You will never, ever go wrong. You could frequently go wrong if you put somebody else's expertise above your own expertise, because no one can know what your game is or what you're playing or how you're meant to play it better than you can. No one can. Okay? Alrighty then. Well, yeah, I guess that's it. Beautiful day again today. I am going to try to behave myself and not overdo. Right. Okay, guys. Huge hugs. I love you so much, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.